Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order. First item is the approval of the agenda and order of business. We do have one public input. I think, Philip, you want to speak?
If I could, please.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add or? I don't.
I'll move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Philip, floor is yours.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, members. My name is Philip Stevens, 4870 Highway 3 in Marys Cove, as you probably all know. And last week, I wrote a letter to my council, Sharon Birch, and I asked her to distribute it amongst you concerning the letter that I wrote to the minister. The ongoing problem, as you all know here, is of the outside area contract with the Chester Fire Village Commission, who has the control of the Chester Fire Department. Things have not changed there for 35 years that it's been in place. The first few years were a trying period, and things seemed to go along as people were feeling the waters. Since about the 90s, mid-90s, things have gone on a downward curve. And promises have been made, money has been spent, things have been discussed, and the reality of it is, nothing really changes. We've got a fire hall up there now that the roof's falling off of. They came out the other day to fix it, and they noticed more problems. And the village owns the building. They're the ones that's looking at curing the problem. They're the ones that got the company to put roofing onto it back years ago that we sort of thought would work. But it's just ongoing. Now, the outside area is supporting over 50% of the tax revenue collected, as I understand it.
You're
I haven't been able to see a statement down in a few years, but the last one I seen definitely had the outside areas paying more money than the village.
That's correct.
With no say. And you know where I stand on that. I don't think I gotta say a whole lot more. But at the meeting on Tuesday night, our regular monthly meeting, we signed another extension agreement with you people and the village, as a fire society. Now, if you've got a 35-year-old boat and you keep putting the cork in the seams from the inside and it keeps leaking, you gotta make a change somewhere along the line. And we've got a bad leak. And putting Band-Aids onto it, or open in the seams, tear on the roof, ain't gonna fix the future. And that's what we gotta look at. I mean, I've been saying this now for 30-odd years here at council. And my tax dollars are mine. Nobody else in the community, from Andre's End to Chester Basin, or Little River, seems to be concerned about where the tax dollars go. But for some reason, I see both sides of the coin, and I'm not in favor of the way that it's being done. It hasn't worked, it's not working, and it won't work. That's all I'd like to say, that maybe you fellows, as the person that collects the taxes for everybody and anybody inside and out and distributes them, can look at where you put my tax dollars for me. Is that fair? I mean, I'm not here bragging on anybody, I'm just saying we've got a process in place that is working.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's not much I can say. We're in contract negotiations with the village. It hasn't gone as well as we want or expect at this moment in time. And we're trying to resolve it. Whether we can or we can't is yet to be seen. We understand your concerns.
Yeah, and I just don't want anybody to think that I'm gonna roll over and die on you today.
No, I don't
Make
expect
sure that this is gonna be continued on and that I have a say in it, to try and get something better for everybody, inside and out.
And we are attempting to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask Bill a question?
Sure you can if you want.
Okay. Sharon did circulate your letter, by the way,
Mhm.
and I did read it. And all I can say is I think we take it very seriously, and we appreciate your interest.
I've never written one to the minister as such of any government that's been in power, but as I understand it, when the NDP were in, they had something in place to encourage village commissions to make a choice in or out. But it got sidetracked when the government changed. I know that I did write the deputy minister, who I believe was the liaison that came that time to Bonnie Farm. We had that open meeting out there at the gym that time. And I had correspondence with him back and forth, and he understood the problem at the time. Some years before that, I sent copies home in a book I kept with my letters in. I talked to a person and they basically told me there's nothing anybody could do, it was a village commission issue, and that it was out of the hands of the municipality as long as there was no wrongdoing, or the municipal affairs office, as long as there was no wrongdoings to be investigated.
Yeah.
So all I can do is be a squeaky hinge until she gets a little oil.
No, good to hear from you. Good to see you again.
Well, I'm
You
back.
weren't around Christmas time when I came down to get the tree,
Yeah, no, I had my hip.
but I thanked one at work. Threw the money under the door just like I was supposed to.
But, yeah, no, I appreciate what's going on. I just want to make sure that you don't think that if we're out in the outside areas not being,
No, you're paying attention. We know that.
okay.
I'll just say thank you for coming in, Philip.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak.
We're on it, I think.
Okay.
In
As
simple
long as you
terms.
understand that things ain't working out the way that they have been, it does hurt to have change.
I think we realize that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day.
See you later. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting, February 23rd. Any errors or omissions? Jerry? Oh.
There's something behind that.
I just wanted to let you know early on that I read these.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm aware of that.
And I must say Pam does an excellent job. Somebody might easier when it's an in-person meeting, others you can't see the same one. So.
You prepared to move,
I
approve the minutes?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. And you check the schedule here.
See, I get a reputation early.
So we'll move on to 8.1, information prepared by Community Development Recreation, Chester Hills.
Hello.
Morning. Okay. They, let the minutes reflect Councilor Vino's declared conflict of interest. Okay, Emily,
All right.
what's up?
So we have received an application for a development agreement on January 11th of this year. The proposal is for an intent to do an aging in place residential community consisting of a variety of housing options, including semi-detached units, townhouses, multi-residential, and single-family style homes. So the application and fees were submitted by Halyard Developments Limited. And the proposed development is for approximately 62 residential structures on the 53.2 acre lot on Stanford Lake Road. You can see on the little map there in the report.
Mhm.
I just want to note that they actually take ownership of the property on February 28th of this year. They're just in the midst of closing on the property. Property is zoned mixed use, which that zone allows for 12 or more dwelling units on a lot and or land lease communities by development agreement. So that's why we're here. I've included the cover letter that they sent as well as the application. So those just kind of outline their detailed preliminary proposed developments. So the application describes that their intention is to do a bare land community, or sorry, bare lands condo for the development, which in this scenario, the developer actually owns the entirety of the land and it remains as one parcel, rather than subdividing each parcel that would have a proposed structure on it. So this would also have the residents, would they be able to purchase or lease the structures and have exclusive rights to the driveway and a small yard. The roads would not be municipally owned or have to meet spec, and the developer would maintain those roads and all the land. So the developer intends to do on-site water and wastewater systems. However, they are open to conversations of potentially expanding the current municipal wastewater system to the proposed development site. So currently, we're just working with the developer to finalize their plans to prepare a draft development agreement. Bring it forward. You've got your options down there as to direct staff to prepare a draft development agreement and hold a public information meeting, or option 2 is to direct staff to not prepare a draft development agreement.
There isn't any reason why we wouldn't, is there?
Hope not.
Well, no, well, No, but there isn't, they meet the basic requirements, so I mean, other than, do we have to go through the process and see what the public has to say?
Yeah.
So somebody,
Question, yeah, do they have to have an environmental assessment, or do they do that because of the wetland?
They will have them. I think they actually have already done that. And they've looked at the wetlands and they've been talking to their engineer and stuff about it. So that'll be part of it.
Yeah, because there's quite a.
Yeah,
looks like quite a
yeah, it
bit
shows
of-
on their plan that there's a big
Yeah.
wetland. Yeah.
Okay,
yes, Karen.
Said they were open, putting in their own wastewater management. But how far does our sewer line run? How close are we?
Oh, that's,
I don't know. I think we said,
It's under a kilometer, maybe about 800, 600 to 800 meters. So it's out on number 3, on the number 3 highway. So it would just be a matter of bringing it in along Stanford Lake Road. So we had some discussions internally here about how do we advance those negotiations with the developer. So that's going to be part of the development agreement. We'll have those discussions, see what they're planning to expend in terms of servicing each unit, and then see if there's an option, and we'd of course bring that back to council, similar to what we did with the Aspenhagen Ridge, where we, council authorized the extension of a sewer line to reach a lot, and that kind of negotiation could occur here too.
So we will have those discussions. Makes,
Yeah.
makes sense.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
and it depends on capacity and all those
Of
issues,
course, of course, you know.
yeah, timing.
As long as it's part of the discussion. I'm
Yeah.
sure it would be, I just want to make sure that I understood it.
I'll move that we enter into a development agreement with the Hilliard
No, it's
Development.
pretty exciting.
Yes, it could be an
Action
exciting
is
one.
an issue and so moved, we had a seconder?
It's a motion to refer it to planning advisory.
Oh,
Okay, sorry,
that's your motion now.
that is my motion.
We have a seconder for that motion? Second. Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, Emily.
yeah.
Okay. So you're here for 8.2, right there? That one's pretty quick, isn't it? Because,
I think so.
yeah, okay, let's
I
do,
expect.
well, yeah, let's do 8.2 because we're getting close to our appointment time, so.
We should let Council Vito.
Oh, yeah, let him in.
No.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So what I have for you today is a request to discharge an existing development agreement. This is for property in Marriott's Cove at 4654 Highway 3. And the existing development agreement, CMDA 002, has been in place for some time. It permitted the use as a laboratory for creation of, I believe it was water test kits.
Yeah,
That use has since ceased, and since June of 2021, the building has been unused entirely. For about the last year prior to that, it was used just for office purposes. And the current property owner basically is looking to sell the property and determine that it likely will be better to sell it as being able, at least being able to be converted to a residence, and so that's what we're looking for here. So she submitted the request to deregister. She has worked with the development officer to get a development permit in place so that the building will be used as a residence going forward. Any physical conversion or work to the building would still need a building permit. So this just gives her, from the land use perspective, it's gone back to
That allows you to
residential use.
convert.
Yeah. And so
Is
this
this innocuous, but I may have a clear conflict. And I know it's an innocuous thing, but I have some involvement with it.
you're always better off to
No, so
not take
I
a
just
chance.
realized the property you're talking about, so
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah, so minutes will reflect clear conflict.
Yeah, and so basically she's submitted the request asking council to discharge. In terms of how that works, basically, if there's a motion here approving that request, we'll then work with Sam to deregister the document from the land registry
According to our current fee policy, the fee to deregister is $100, and we have received that fee from the property owner. As part of the fee policy discussions coming forward, I think there might be a bit of room to discuss whether the legal cost should also be covered, but in this case, it's very clear that our policy says $100, and that's what you receive. So, yeah, so the recommendation here is to approve the request to discharge. But if there are any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It's been vacant for some time. I'll
Somebody
move
making that
that
motion?
we discharge the agreement.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let Derek know that he can come back in.
Ready for?
Yeah, we're ready for him. For Elizabeth Finney.
As long as you just can't participate.
Right, and the money.
There's
You don't have to
Yes.
Yeah, but when we actually do new council training, I actually say it's best to leave.
You're better off,
Because
yeah.
then you're not like giving any facial cues or trying to influence them to see.
You're always better off.
Oh, God.
I prefer just to get out of there.
Yeah, you're safer at the end of the day.
I don't want anybody saying that for the influence it in
But
any way.
the province itself, incidental.
That's right. Just Jeremy Bell.
Oh, yeah.
As it relates to my.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. You just can't
You might, yes.
You do you, I'll do me.
Yeah. Are you declaring a conflict?
I am.
Okay. So let the minutes reflect that Councilor Birch is declaring a conflict of
We have
interest.
3 in a row.
Yeah. Okay, so you're leaving the room, I assume.
Okay, I'll leave it out.
Yeah, well, that's.
Sorry.
the way it's supposed to be.
We already had this discussion.
Morning,
Good morning.
how are you?
Happy to be here.
We are too. So the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I'll introduce our
Oh,
executive.
yes, I'm supposed to put this on there.
Our executive director, this is Karen Lake. She came into that position about a year ago. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
She's been with Wiley for 30 years, with a break in there to go off and be an executive director somewhere else, and then she came back to us. So I don't know if people here knew her. I'm Liz Finney. I know many of the faces around the room, but maybe not all. I'm the fund development director with Bonnie Farm, so I'm the person who helps raise the money to keep the place going, aside from the government funding that we receive. So. Yep. Okay, so we're really happy to be here today. We're going to share some really exciting news with you. I think you've all received the package. I think you all have the application. I think you all have this presentation. So I will ask quickly though, is there anybody here who doesn't know what Bonnie Farm is or has never been there? Have you all been there?
I worked there for years and years.
Yeah, so some have not been there.
I've been.
You've been there, okay. So it's a really amazing place. Some people refer to magic. They're regular people, just like everyone else, but they bring a certain spark to life that I wish we all carried. But so we've been around for 50 years. Next year is our 50th birthday. Our mission is committed to empowering special needs individuals, providing opportunities to experience faith, self-respect, love for one another, dignity, integrity, productivity, and responsible community living. We want each person who comes to Bonnie Farm, participants and staff alike, to have the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed. I stress dignity and integrity and responsible community living to you here, because those are very important to us, and that's part of what this presentation is about. So this is just an overview of who we are and what we're doing. So currently we have 9 homes at Bonnie Farm. That includes 4 group homes, which are up to 6 people living in each home, 4 small option homes, which are up to 3 people living in each home, and 1 apartment, which is one-on-one staffing. We have 36 participants living and working with us. What makes Bonnie Lee Farm different is that if someone lives with us, they're guaranteed a job with us in one of our 6 social enterprises. We also have between 8 and 10 people from the community who come to work with us each day. So when I say community, that's actually ranging from HRM through to New Germany, and they arrive by private vehicle, taxi, care provider. They find a way to get there, and they have the opportunity to work with us and access all of our programs. Next, please. So this is just a few sentiments that some participants and family and close friends of Bonnie Lee Farm have expressed to us. And if you had a chance to look at the presentation, you'll see that it refers to it being a great place to work, a great place to live, and a great place to visit. That pretty much sums up those notes. So the community engagement piece, what about Bonnie Lee Farm in the community? These are pre-COVID numbers because obviously COVID has really put a dent in our community engagement. The number 19 work and volunteer placements, those include participants going out into the community for work or volunteer placements, as well as people coming to Bonnie Lee Farm to experience work placements, so interns or work portions of education programs. 1,600 community members attending our events. Those would be our plant sale breakfast, our lobster fundraiser, and our golf tournament, as well as other side events that we have going on each year, which again have been impacted by COVID. We don't even know how many customers we have for our social enterprises. We do have contracts with a number of businesses, but there are countless others who buy our kindling or bring their shredding to us or buy our wipers. So we're not quite sure how many we really have. We do know that we have 45 community support sponsors for our events. So those are small and large businesses in our community and beyond who sponsor our lobster supper and our golf tournament. And I say infinity for the community events that participants attend, because if you live in this municipality, you have seen them. You have seen them out in singing karaoke, you've seen them at bingo, you've seen them at picnic in the park, which is what the quote on the right refers to, them being really important and vibrant members of our community. And the bottom number there, 3 million spent in the local economy through salaries, supplies, and services. Bonnie Lee Farm puts $3 million back into the local economy each year. Our annual operating budget is just over $4.5 million. So that's a pretty significant piece coming back or staying within the municipality. Next. So this is our financial statement, the income and the expenditures. Our income is, of our $4.5 million budget, about 3/4 comes from the province of Nova Scotia. That's broken down with our residential program being more or less fully funded. So 3 million goes towards running and operating our residential program on an annual basis. That includes pretty much everything that happens there, except certain emergency repairs or situations and certain upgrades or equipment or furniture that we may need to repair or replace. The day program is where the majority of our fundraised and other dollars are directed, because it is not fully funded. So simply to keep the lights on, to keep our insurance paid, to keep vehicles on the road, and some of our staff paid, that's where our fundraised dollars go. And those costs are significant. So you'll see the breakdown of where the money comes in and where those are paid. These are from 2020, 2021. Some of our bigger sponsors and supporters, the province of Nova Scotia and the Pew Foundation, Pharmacy, JW Murphy Foundation, and then you'll see yourselves there on the right, halfway down. That's because of the COVID emergency funding that the municipality provided, $5,000, which was used towards our electrical bills and our insurance, literally keeping the lights on. Some recreational programming for participants during COVID to keep them active mentally and physically, as well as covering the participants' salaries. So they receive a stipend or a pay for working at our program. But because we were closed and they couldn't come to work, we felt strongly that they would still receive a pay. Yeah, and so a lot of that money is spent right back here in the community because, you know, they do their shopping locally as well. So why are we here? We're here because we're really excited. We're growing. We've received approvals from the province for 2 new homes in the community. Phase one is on site at Bonnie Lee Farm, and that will be funded by us but the operations will be paid for by the province. And the second home will be built in the community, yet location yet to be determined. We have an eye on a couple of lots, and we're just working through some details about those. And that home will be paid for to be built and operated by the province. We'll operate it, but money will come from the province. So it's not a matching arrangement, but it is very much a sharing of the expenses for these two homes. So why do we need this new home on site? This, I'm speaking primarily to the house on site, but it also applies to the one in the community. So of the 36 participants living at Bonnie Lee Farm, more than half are over the age of 50. A good number of those are over the age of 60, and we have one who's in his 70s. So these are not the kids. You'll often hear people refer to the kids. They are not kids at Bonnie Lee Farm.
They used to be way back when.
When we started in 1973, yes, we were a day school because there was no place in the community for them to attend public school. And so we operated as a day school. They've grown up. They're not those kids anymore, and there are additional ones with us besides. But yes, some of those original participants are the ones who are now in their 60s. And their needs are changing, and we need to change too. So just to set the stage, currently in our homes, if somebody is not able to self-evacuate, i.e. the fire alarm goes off, they're in bed sleeping, are they able to wake up, get up, and mobilize, transfer themselves into a wheelchair, either independently or with a little assistance, get their mobility device, whatever that might be, and get out? If they can't do that, they can't stay. Another situation, and we've experienced that within the last few years with a couple of participants. Another situation that develops for some of them is a light medical condition that the treatment can't be self-administered. So the way we work currently with medicine is they get a little cup, they take their medicine, we move on. If they're not able for any reason to self-administer, so if they can't take a pill, or if they require an insulin injection, or perhaps they require oxygen, or perhaps they require a feeding tube, they've got to go.
Yeah.
So we're remembering this is their home
Gotta go with.
somewhere else
You
So-
don't, you mean permanently, not temporarily.
permanently. Yeah, so they would have to leave Bonnie Lee Farm, leave their home, and go either to long-term care or to another facility operated by DCS that's able to provide that higher level of care. In either case, they're leaving home. So if any of you were to develop any of those conditions, you wouldn't be expected to leave home. You would have access to support coming into your home most likely, and only after all those avenues were exhausted would you then be required to leave your home. So we are, as home, wanting to be able to change and to build a unique building, a unique home to support participants who would then be able to receive that level of support at home.
So will you close down some of the other residential facilities?
At the moment, these are additional beds.
Oh.
So that's hence we're expanding. These will be additional beds. So we may be able to shuffle our current participants around to fill those beds and free up beds in some of our other homes
To take in other people?
to take in new people. Or it may be that we're taking in some new people directly into this home if they have that level of need. But we do have,
There's a huge drive for increasing capacity. with
Well,
our-
that's what I was, yeah.
yes, so this will meet that need. And it also decreases demand on long-term care for taking
That
in.
capacity in.
Yeah. Or hospital, again, because you will see some of our participants, if they need to leave us, they often don't go directly to their next home. There's sometimes a lengthy delay. So this is Jan. Some of you might know Jan. She's originally from the New Rouse area. She is one of the original participants of Bonnie Lee Farm, coming to us back in 1973 when we were at day school. She left briefly and attended school in the community and then returned back to us to work. And she's been with us ever since. So we asked Jan and a number of other participants to sum up what Bonnie Lee Farm means to them in one word, and Jan was pretty quick to say home. And she's not the only one. Some of you will recognize Rose. Rose is very present in our community, at church or picnic in the park or singing karaoke. And Rose has been with us for nearly 40 years. And when we talked to her about this, she said, I don't want to have to leave if I need more support as I age.
And Rose has seen quite a few of her friends leave.
Yeah,
It's been a little traumatic for her, that one. So very,
Yeah, so what will this home provide? And what is it? It'll be the first of its kind in Nova Scotia. We're confident saying that. It'll be, we think, the first of its kind in Eastern Canada, and quite possibly the first of its kind in all of Canada. I've done some digging and I have found a purpose-built home for people with intellectual disabilities to age in place. This will be that. It will be a barrier-free home with specialized mobility support, so built-in lifts and portable lifts. The ability to support those with light medical needs. So as I mentioned, things like feeding tubes or things like oxygen or things like minor injections and things like that. It will not be a full-scale nursing home. It will provide what any of us would be able to have at home. So I just want to be transparent. There may be a time for some people where they may still need to leave, but this will by far extend the amount of time they're able to stay with us. And for some, it will mean through the end of life. But for others, it may not. It will be a 24-hour barrier-free home that never closes. Currently, our homes, our general operations is that when the participants get up in the morning, get ready for work and leave for work, that home, the staff lock the door and walk away. Home closes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, home opens up and participants come home. We do have a couple of homes that are operating on a daytime open because we have a couple of participants who have fully retired. And so we've had to make that adjustment in recent years. And originally we were funding that through our fundraise dollars, but more recently the province has realized, oh, we need to actually step up here because this is happening. But what this will provide is that 24-hour piece of awake staffing. So we have had participants with us in somewhat recent years who whose conditions required 24 awake staffing. That's not our current model. So again, we did that through fundraise dollars. We paid for that. Later, the province came in and did backfill some of those expenses, but we did what we needed to do to keep our participants at home as long as we could. In both those cases, they were required to leave. One, I have permission from the family to share her story. Mary Ellen's story, I don't think it was in your package. Mary Ellen was one of those participants, and she developed Alzheimer's, as many Down syndrome people do. And with Down syndrome and Alzheimer's, it's a very rapid decline. So it wasn't long between her no longer being able to attend work and having to stay at home all day to then requiring 24-hour awake staff. And we kept her very, very long. The staff did, they went way, way, way above and beyond. And she had a farewell party on Friday and was moved to long-term care, and she died on the Monday. And a lot of her, you know, she held on a long time at body leave. We would have loved to have kept her till the Monday. So she would have been at home and with her friends and the staff who knew her and supported her. But we did really well, and we'd like to do that well for all of our participants, but we'd like to be part of our regular offerings, not something that we're pulling out all the stops to go above and beyond. We want to just be able to do that. And this home will enable us to do that. So the price tag is $4.5 million. That's not the price of the home. I think you have a draft budget that's a preliminary budget. It's based on Class C estimates. So you'll see the cost of the home is not $4.5 million, but when you add in contingency, when you add in taxes, when you add in architectural design fees, when you add in FF fixtures, finishes, and equipment, it all adds up pretty quickly. And then the campaign committee decided, well, we're getting pretty close. Let's just round up to $4.5 million. So this is the drawings of some of the drawings of the home. This is the main living level that we're showing you here. It also has a lower level that will offer a nurse's office and examination room that would be accessible to all participants at Bonnie Lee Farm. We do have a staff, a healthcare consultant who provides oversight, medical oversight, of course, of the participants and tracking. And also at that level will be some flex space social space, training space for the residents in the home as well as others at Bonnie Farm. And another neat room on the lower level is a den or a family room. If we have a participant who's not well or who perhaps is at end of life, that room can become an overnight stay room for family members to come and stay with us on site. It also could be a room where we've learned during COVID for infection control, it's helpful for staff to have a place they can come and go, access, maybe shower, put on work clothes, go to work, leave work, come down, shower, change your clothes and head home. There is a space in this house that would allow for that type of infection control measures. And it also is just a nice getaway space for participants as well, to have a bit of time and space away from.
So it's located in between the church house and the other larger residential units?
It'll be almost right across from Church House, kind of, you know where the tennis courts currently are?
Yeah.
More or less there. No one's really played tennis anymore.
The back end is a walkout, so you can.
There's a
general
slope.
slope there, so it's really nice to get all the bright light for that. So it's
Yeah.
good.
So how are we planning to pay for it? We are currently in the quiet phase of the capital campaign. So we are out and speaking with some of our major supporters and coming to you as well as the federal government to see what we can do. We would love for you to join with us in this endeavor and lead the way really here in the municipality, but also across the province for a model that we hope could be replicated in many other areas. And that's about it. We've already raised through pledges and cash in hand, 1.6 million to this project, and we've only just begun. So that's literally within about the work of about a month and a half of fundraising, not even publicly.
No, we're pretty good at that. Of course, you have been over the 40, 50 years. Yeah.
A lot of money.
And we have, you'll see our campaign committee, and I believe you have a letter of support in your folders from Colin and Jack Fleming and Colin McDonald, our co-chairs.
So I'm assuming this is just to bring us up to speed on it. I assume there's a large grant application.
Sure, yeah, so those are all coming to council next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Tina.
Thank you. Just a question and a couple of comments. How many off-site community homes do you have now?
One,
Just
we have
one.
Hamilton House here in Chester on the corner of Central
Just
and
on
Main.
the street.
No, I knew about that one, I know where that is and so on, but I just wasn't sure if I was missing one or not. But just on now,
No.
thank you. So not a question, or just a couple of comments. So, thank you for coming in. I think it's so important, and I'm sure we all think the same. Pre-major project deliberation. So it's so important to have some of those key points that you shared with us that we might not get from the written word on a page. So thank you for that. And I think it's important for us, but I think it's important for the community members who either are tuning in now or after. I think it was a great awareness and education as we all move along, I think. And I just also want to offer, once we get outside of major project deliberation and we're moving outside of that if there's anything that I can do, to help you in my community, in New Ross, and beyond, of course. I was happy to learn about the project from Jan's mom. And it was at the event that Wood and Weber and I were both at the Ross Farm Museum in August. And so I happened to be lucky enough to sit at the table, with Jan's mom. And of course, I know them anyway from the community. And Jan, when she came back to New Ross to go to NRCS, we were in school together in the little school, which is now the Family Resource Center building. So we all have connections and ties and emotional reasons. So I just wanted to say all that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone, any questions?
I did think of one thing I forgot to mention. One of the reasons why the building costs are so high is because we're required to build to the V3 standards. So I don't know if you're familiar with what that means, but this is not this is not a typical build for a home that any one of us would live in. It's a requirement that's placed on us. Of a certain level, it's similar in what's required for nursing home standards, just to put that context in your mind. So the structure itself, the materials that go into it are required to be at a very stringent level of the B3 level. So that adds significantly building costs.
In the elevator, there is an elevator in it also for access for up and down. So that was very important for us to make sure everybody could access the lower level.
Jerry?
Thank you for your presentation. Do we have everything that was, like, the slideshow was great, the presentation was great. You talked about the financials. I don't know that we need them, but I'm assuming the ask of us is going to be for a capital plan.
Yeah.
This is a main,
100,000.
major projects grant, and your typical ask is capped at 100,000. We've gone above that to 150,000 because we don't come often. And this is a really big and exciting project, so we wanted to,
I just want to make sure that
I just want to let you know.
from the operating, okay. No, I thought that was the answer, but I wanted to get out there what likely to be. I think you know, I have a lot of support around the table. But from an operating perspective, that is strictly provincial and your own private fundraising.
Yes.
Yeah.
The operating, the province is committed to providing the operational costs through our current funding arrangement, per diem arrangement with them. So the money follows the participants to pay for whatever level of support they need.
And the offsite building, the second building that you're referring to.
Yeah.
That is not even conceptualized yet, I think, because there's no, like, you're looking at property, but how will that tie into the big picture? Let's see.
So we're calling it a two-phase project. Our first focus is on this home on
So
the
the
property.
4.5 include that second project? No.
4.5 is strictly to build on
Just this
site,
one, yeah.
and that's the one we need to raise the funds for. The one in the community, the Department of Community Services committed to buying the lot, building the house, and paying to operate it.
Yeah.
So our job in that regard is to help find appropriate building sites for a home in the community and to work with them and what that's going to look like, and then staff it and operate it.
And we more or less negotiated that deal because we felt very strongly we needed a home within our campus to support the people who want to age and live their life out there. And government, Department of Community Services really wanted the home to be a community in a sense of within Chester or within New Ross or, so we negotiated with, okay, let us build this home where people that live at Bonnie potentially could move into and, live out the rest of their lives. And yes, we would love to increase capacity and build another within community. So in all honesty, we are struggling right now with hiring, but I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So we need to expand our staffing model to that level. We wanted to take it a little bit into stages, but it's going to be what it's going to be. One may happen just as quick as the other.
Yeah.
And construction is the other piece. If we can get somebody to come in and say, we'll build your first one, we'll build your second one, we'll do it at the same time, we're probably going to move forward with that. We don't want it to be held up for another year or two. We really want this to happen as quick as possible. Lots of components to it besides just the walls.
Yeah, and moving parts. And some have asked how many people will be supported in this home. That was an area of negotiation for us. Our original design had a bit more bedrooms, but in mid-progress, the department changed their focus to allowing homes only up to 4 bedrooms. So this home is capped at 4 bedrooms. That's the largest home they are building now.
In the whole province.
In the whole province. Nowhere will they build a home bigger than 4 bedrooms. So
That's for the second home.
that's for both.
They're both full.
Both 4.
Each are only allowed to be 4. So our current, to put that in context, we have 4 homes now that are at 6 people.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be allowed to have those homes anymore.
That's not-
So.
Nor the 3.
Nor the
We
3.
have 4 that are at 3 and they would all need to be at 4.
So they're changing, and so we had to change midstream on this project as well, which meant entirely going back literally to the drawing board on the project.
So
Anyone else? Any
this
discussion?
this building site is 4 bedrooms. Just correct. Accommodating 4 people, don't double up people.
No, no,
Okay. just-
private rooms and private bathrooms. Well, half baths, there's a shower room separate.
Anyone else? I didn't see any comments from Floyd Thompson.
Well, it was his birthday Monday, so he's been talking a lot about that lately.
I just wondered, is he on site?
He still is.
Yes, very much so, yeah.
Well, I just need to know that he's in favor.
He's still
He's
there.
usually, he's very much in favor, yeah.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
presentation.
everyone, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, thank you. So our next appointment, I assume,
Take a rocks off the much.
quick words box in the door.
Something she gets shared.
Oh, yes.
Shared.
Yeah, yeah. All you guys confident guys, we all forget it. But you-
This one here. Hillary.
Yeah, what's best to go here?
I don't know if I was there or not.
Yeah, I saw your name on that contract, right? So it says- Yeah, it was. I mean, it looks like it's Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We're just waiting for Sharon to come back in.
I do know.
I have some drawings on it.
Oh, yeah, I know
have that.
I have, yeah.
Sure, how are you?
Take mine off?
I don't know.
If you're speaking, you can take it off.
Oh, great. She's the mask Nazi.
She tells us what.
All right.
Keeping you guys up.
Morning,
Good morning.
floor is yours.
Thank you.
And what did you say? We can when we're speaking?
When you're speaking, you can take them off. Okay.
Oh, that's much better. Thank you.
I know.
Well, thank you all very much. We want to just give you an update and tell you where we are with the new Ross Community Care Society. We're, just to briefly say, we're very excited. And today we hope, watching the Olympics, I was watching figure skating early this morning. I thought maybe this meeting is something like performing or something because all of you are judges, so. You've been so helpful with us so far by making that $100,000 available to us to purchase the land from the church. So first of all, I'd like to, Sid, you don't have to introduce either one, Susan Martyr and Sid Demerick. And Sid is going to tell you a little bit about the plan that we have now designed. We certainly, you knew we were going for funding through CMHC. And we had 3 disappointments with them. The first project we put forward, they said it was too small. So we said, okay, well, that's easy to change. And we were working along with them all through this. And so we sent the second one back and they said, well, that's too big. So we said, okay, we've got to look at this from a different way. So we started working really closely with the Department of Housing, and a wonderful employee there, Stefan Richard, has been working with us. And the Department of Housing have reviewed their program since the election. And so they really have a navigator person there now that will work with groups like us. And so to make sure that when we go to CMHC for funding, that we have all the pieces in order.
So that is really great. Around that same time, we also decided we should meet with the Minister of Housing, John Lohr, and the Deputy Minister, Paula Flesch, and staff, which we did. They met with us very quickly. And we had a great meeting with them, extremely positive. They view the project in New Ross as a model for other rural communities around the province, which is very positive. And they made a commitment right on the spot of $50,000 to proceed with some of the things we need to do to get the land ready for construction.
How'd you find Paula Flesch?
Oh, well, he's different. But he was also the deputy minister when I was chair of Ross Farm and we raised the $4.2 million. So he knows there's some energy and positivity there to make things work, not just because of me, but because of the other people that are on our board.
He's pretty straightforward.
He's very straightforward and it didn't take him long to make that commitment. So that's great. So we have Turner Drake are moving forward with a project again to help us get to where we need to be before presenting to CMHC or the credit union. The credit union is interested as well in funding this project. So we'll see what the terms are when we're ready to do that. The agreement has been signed with the church and all of that has gone through well. So we know that the outline and council is well aware of that too, that then this moves on to an agreement between the municipality and our board. And that is to be finished in March, concluded. We also have a proposal into the Department of Housing now for $17,000. And that is to proceed with building the road and getting water and sewage in there. So that for all of us is very positive. And while this has been going on, just to mention briefly, that we've been approached by a company that would be interested in building a nursing home in New Ross. And with the $50 acres we have, and also a comment made by the church warden that they would consider selling us the other 50 acres. So that is all, this is pending, but that's where we are. So we're really hoping that as we move through this, that council will give consideration. We have some concern about one, the agreement currently is to give back the land if it still doesn't go through. We know it's going to go through, but it's hard for us to raise funds without owning the land. And if we do this work, building the road or putting sewage and water in, then it makes it very tough for us to, give back the land. So we're really hoping that you will give some consideration to that as we move forward. Anyway, and also, and I know Sid is going to mention this too, but none of this would be happening now if it had not been for the foresight of this council to make that $100,000 available. And that has gotten the attention of all these other folks, and especially the department. So again, to update you and say thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, Sid has been working on these different designs for a small project and a large project, and the one that we currently are really excited about. So I'll turn it over to Sid.
Thank you, Member. It's such a treat to be presenting to the best. I was going to say, turn up.
What happened to you? You aren't being nice.
So, no, I believe that, the bottom of my heart. And while I have the floor, Valerie, would you mind if I gave an update on the Birch Island project?
No, no.
We were delighted to receive and thank your $75,000. The deed has been signed by the seller and by Micah, and it's gone to the province. And I'm very pleased to say that Micah had raised enough of our 75 that we passed a motion at our meeting last Tuesday to send 75, our 75 and your 75
So it's finished.
to the government very early in March, about 20 days ahead of schedule, and this will close in this fiscal year, and there will be another beautiful island in the Chester municipality. Public forever, thanks.
Thank you.
Your foresight. Thank you so much. It wouldn't happen without you guys.
You do a lot of it too.
We rely on you. So I'd like to show you where we are on the design, and the drawing on the screen is not our current design. It was our first design, which was for a group of townhouses. But I want you to see this because it shows this beautiful strategic property that we were able to acquire because of your generosity. And it's enormous. It's 50 acres. There's 4 rows of 6 townhouses. There's 24 townhouses just in that little tiny corner by the graveyard. And we have 50 acres to expand to, and we have another 50 acres that we can acquire from the church. And the location is beautiful. It's right beside the school, which of course is the community center. It's on Rosebank Road, which leads you up to Charing Cross. And the community is building a walking trail, which will take you up to the credit union and that part of town. So it's a beautiful strategic site, and we're very grateful to have it. So we started with townhouses, and we thought we'd build 6 townhouses because townhouses are beautiful and everybody gets their own house, and but they're linked together for economy. And CMHC said it's too small. And then our economic research told us that it really wasn't economical to be building something that was so close to a single family house. So we did a lot of research, and we had a very nice meeting with Bob Uden and his group. And he said, you have to build apartments. That's the only thing that makes sense. So we digested that, and we thought that may be right, but apartments just didn't seem right for this beautiful rural site in New Ross. So we came up with an idea. Could you put the next slide on? We came up with an idea of 4plexes. So we would have, it's kind of like a 2-story duplex, but built into the side of a hill. So the 2 units on the bottom floor have grade access, and then because of the hill, 2 units on the top floor have grade access. But it's a very compact, economical building. There's no corridor, there's no stairs, there's no elevator. So, and we think this is very appropriate to the scale of the village of Nimros. So that's where we are now. And you might notice the location of the road has changed a little because a logging road was put in the time when we were negotiating with the church. And it gave us actually a nice base to put the new road in. So in the pink, you can see 4 4plexes. And we would like to build the first 4 at once, but if we have to, we will do them one at a time. So the next drawing will show a typical layout. And I won't go into it, but basically that is the top floor, and it's 2 2-bedroom apartments. Each one has its own front door, and the size is around 850 square feet, which is the CMHC number. You can't have it bigger than that for affordable housing. And to make it really New Ross, each one has a wood stove. Oh, if you want to heat it with wood, you can do it. And you can have a wood pile outside your front door. So you see that there's a bedroom on the right hand, it's a bedroom at each end. That's the second bedroom. And you notice there's a bunch of circles on one of them. A lot of these units will be wheelchair accessible, and the circles indicate the ones that are wheelchair accessible. Then if we could see the next slide. That is a 4plex which does not have accessible units. Maybe you could scroll down a little on that slide.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can understand.
Yes, there's the lower floor. So the 2-bedroom units are on the top floor, and when that bedroom sticks out to the right and the left, that forms a covered porch for the 1-bedroom, which is on the lower floor. And as I said, because it's on the side of a hill, everybody gets great access. And if you can show us the next slide. There's an idea of what it might look like. We're looking from the top level of where there are the 2-bedroom units. And I think it's a very sweet design, which is very.
Who did the design work?
Oh, somebody in my office.
You seem fond of those cupolas.
Cupolas.
I love them.
It's a wonderful story, which I won't go into, how we got the cupola. Every time I drive by, I say to Sandy, duh, cupolas. Back up one in the main road. Anyway, that's where we are in design. And once again, thank you so much for your generosity in giving us the seed money to get this off the ground.
We're at it a while. You're making progress.
We're making progress, thanks to you.
So any questions for us?
I don't really have any. It's on our in-camera agenda to deal with the issues that you raised.
Okay.
I'm glad to see the update. I'm glad it's
Moving forward.
you're moving forward.
Very, yeah, very positive. We were kind of discouraged.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, now we really seem to, having that extra support now and different way of working in the Department of Housing will make a huge difference, not just for us, but for others. And hopefully what, when we get this finished, it will be, or even going along, it will be a good example for others and pointing out the way for them to proceed in their community.
It's pretty helpful if they tell you what they want.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, we're moving forward, and as I said earlier, we have good interest with the Department of Housing and the Deputy Minister and the Minister. The Minister couldn't be there, as you know, he's had some health issues, and so he wasn't able to be there. But I know John Lauren as well. So anyway, that's and I have to say, it would be remiss if I didn't say how Danielle Barkhouse is working with us. She's makes every attempt to come to every meeting, and she has a person that I worked for when I was in government, Sandra McKenzie, has come forward, and she has she's involved in a lot of things. She's a retired deputy minister, and I worked with her when I was in government too. So that's another strong person who knows how to get things done, knows lots of contacts.
Yeah, I know Danielle's involved. She calls me usually every time she meets with me. So.
Which is the way it's about.
She's fighting for us.
Yeah. Tina?
I don't want to, jump ahead, but it looks like there's no questions, so that's really great. Right? It's so exciting.
I hope so.
And I certainly would not be able to articulate like Dave Harrison does, but the reference to the municipality of Chester's investment right out of the gate of 100, I know that he does refer to that very often outside of the project in New Ross. So I think it's important for us to know that, but I wouldn't even attempt to articulate, his words, if you will. But again, it's a reference to municipal units and their lack of, if you will, municipal government right out of the start investment in affordable housing and community projects in other areas that he's very close to, HRM and even into New Brunswick and so on. So, but you know what I'm talking about, but I just, in terms of what Dave Harrison would refer to in terms of.
Oh, absolutely. So it's not just Sid that praises the municipality of Chester for their forward-looking ideas and helping. Certainly, right, David Harrison says that all the time. So you have a great reputation.
And I'm sure you'll have to maybe have a lottery when it's open to see who gets, to live there. Because I'm sure you'll have more demand than what actually housing you have.
Yeah, well, the good news is there's lots of land, and it was really great when the last time we met with the warden and some other members, they said, we'd be interested in talking to you about purchasing the other 50 acres. And so we're going to move on that because if when we get this going, we just chatted outside, we wouldn't want someone else to come along and offer them a whole lot more money and we lose the land, so we need to get an agreement in place, first right of refusal, whatever. We'll work on that right away.
Anyone, anything else?
Yeah, sounds good.
If not, thank you all for the update.
Thank you very much.
Here.
Thank you.